Well, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight on Wave Extra. That was a little early of a countdown there, but appreciate you starting off the hour with us as we're unwinding and getting ready to wrap up this mid part of the week on Wednesday, August 20th. I'm Jose Sosaya here in the Wave Now studio. As always, appreciate you connecting with us, whether that's on the Wave Now app on your smart TV devices or connecting with us on the stream on the social. I see the first one popping up on the comment stream there is Ann on YouTube, so appreciate you checking in. Good evening to you as well, Ann. Lots of stories wanted to break down with you as we're sort of settling in. Hopefully you're all home wherever comfortably you might be, or just wherever you've happened to join us as we're breaking down some of the bigger updates, headlines, stories of the day. I do want to get us started, and with that, I'm going to place you back. The video I'm about to show you is just the scene of where this crime happened. It is from murder investigation. I just want to pull that up. But the context of it all, this is an update we got earlier this afternoon that police say they arrested a 16-year-old suspect. This is wanted for some alleged role in this deadly shooting in Newburgh. Now, being 16, police did not share the boy's name, being that he is a minor. But as I said with the video, I want to place you back at the scene of where this all happened. We do know the suspect, as police or seem to be describing him, charged now with murder and gun possession. If you're familiar with the dates of when this happened, it was June 23rd. This was a home near Ridgecrest Avenue, just off of Shepherdsville Road. At this point, we still don't also know, we do not know the name of the victim or what the motive of the shooting might have been. So that is something, as whenever the case develops or continues, we'll make sure to share those updates with you as soon as possible. Moving on to more of your top stories on this Wednesday. This has taken us over to Southern Indiana and Clarksville police, and them telling us they've actually found their key suspect in a 12-year-old double homicide. So we're talking about a cold case. Not many real leads that police have been able to use as a concrete basis to make their case bring to prosecutors for over 10 years now. But apparently they did this with some unexpected help thanks to a prior detention and arrest and an intervention from agents from Immigrations and Customs Enforcement. So we're talking about ICE, and there's a bit of a gap as far as the geography is concerned from where Clarksville police got wind of what had happened. But they do know the name of someone who seems to now be their best lead and coming back to Clarksville to face these charges. So as we understand it, I'm going to see if I can pull some of the video up if it puts you back into where the scene happened back in 2013. The suspect's name we've now learned is a man named Carlos Bonilla Canangues, was supposed to be deported to El Salvador, but instead now coming back to Clarksville in these charges. This was a double homicide arson case from 2013. 2 men found dead inside of this house that you see there in the images had burned on Clarksville's Randolph Avenue. So investigators apparently determined the men were murdered, their house burned, and police suspected Bonilla Canangues was the suspect, the person they were looking for. They just could never find him. And 12 years later now, he ended up in ICE custody down in Georgia, in the state of Georgia, and he got flagged when this Clarksville case came up in a records check. And this is commentary from investigators after finding out what had happened.
So eventually, Immigrations Customs Enforcement got a hold of us and told us what was going on. We had a detective go down there and take a DNA sample from Mr. Bonilla. And then that was ultimately sent off to our lab where it was a match.
Now, in the course of what police were able to share with us today, we also learned some new details about the murders we hadn't heard 12 years ago when it all started. And unfortunately, rather more gruesome details, if I can bring you back to the initial scene as firefighters were there to put the fire out. Apparently, the victims were stabbed multiple times, and it seems like just a horrifyingly violent attack because one of the victims, according to police who are now sharing the detail, that one of the victims was stabbed more than 100 times. What is expected next to happen, though, is that Bonilla Canangues is supposed to be extradited back to Clarksville to then face these new specific charges thanks to that DNA hit. So that coming from Clarksville Police and those updates, wanted to share those with you. It seems like a case with more to see what happens, whatever the next development decision in the court, whatever transpires, something to certainly let you all know about once that happens. Another story I wanted to share with you tonight is something I believe part of our Wave News at 11 reporting team is working on. And let's look at the clock right now, 8:10. So, our Julia Richardson, part of our reporting team, to my knowledge, she's been able to get in touch with not just JCPS students, but even one parent, or speaking to sort of this new story that broke earlier today, and it has to do with the milk that's given to students in schools throughout the district, to the point now where the district, JCPS, says it's changing what is available as far as milk offerings and service goes, because apparently leaders found some quality issues. I want to pull up this graphic just to show you what they were able to confirm with us as far as the district is concerned. That parents were sent a letter about the change just this afternoon. School leaders writing this was during a daily quality check in the supply, and that they apparently found issues with the fresh milk that they would serve students. Since they found it, they say the supply has been pulled from schools immediately. Some students actually had complained at some point, and we're hoping to establish a little bit more of the timeline, but letting their staff and their teachers and mentors know, apparently some of the milk was, quote, it tasted funny during breakfast this morning. So that was something we did confirm. JCPS says its milk vendor is apparently picking up this supposed fresh milk and replacing it. That timeline, we're still hoping to corroborate that, and that students are going to have other options available during their meals as far as whatever drink they would want. But as you see there at the bottom bullet, JCPS was not aware of this milk in question having any contaminants. And so that is something our Wave News at 11 team is hoping to bring you as far as any new confirmations, corroborations, and of course just perspective from, it seems, enough students, parents, and stakeholders that say perhaps some had found it even a week prior, and just sort of a concern as far as food safety is concerned. By the way, with the comment line open, if you're joining us on the stream, if that's something maybe your student unfortunately had to encounter themselves, or something you'd heard of, you can always feel free to leave a comment there or reach out to us to our respective emails, to our newsroom. Happy to just check in with your accounts and see what you might have encountered in a given day at school. So just something to keep in mind for you all there. All right, moving on to another big update and headline for you all as I set up the video here. And what I'm going to do is set that up next. But in essence, this now has to do with the latest decision from a federal judge, apparently in court. A federal judge now dismissing some, but not all, charges against two former LMPD detectives. And these are two names that have been part, more widely known so, in the Breonna Taylor investigation. This is separate, at least from the decision in the Brett Hankison case. And so what I want to do is bring reset some of this video up for you all, just to put you back at the scene where it happened. But the names in question, former LMPD detectives Joshua Janes and Kyle Meany, leading up to today, had been facing charges in this case. Janes, Meany, as co-defendants, are accused of denying Taylor Fourth Amendment constitutional rights in the raid where she was killed back in 2020. So Janes, coming into today, had been accused of lying to get a search warrant that led police to Taylor's apartment that night. As for Kyle Meany, he was accused of approving the affidavit despite knowing information there was false. So court documents, the last check we've been able to look at for ourselves, focus pretty much on the argument of the intent and the information leading to that warrant and the shooting. So apparently, the decision from the judge is that the counts of violating Taylor's Fourth Amendment rights and alleged felony offenses, those were dismissed with prejudice. And so some of the charges, again, dropped. The ones that were dropped were relating to Fourth Amendment right violations and alleged felony offenses, but both Meany and James are still facing charges in this case when it comes to lying and then also trying to cover up their actions. So that is the latest that we have from what played out inside of a courtroom. Whatever comes next, if they then further the matter to take this to trial or whatever the ruling or the decision is, something we will certainly keep an eye on as the days keep going and moving forward. All right, I want to take you to now this update on an arrest. It's a Louisville woman who owns a Southern Indiana parlor, but under arrest tonight after a months-long investigation done by Indiana State Police. And so here is the mug that officers provided us this afternoon. 62-year-old Yonghua Fang Thrasher facing charges of corrupt business influence, theft, tax evasion, and failing to allow access to any records that would have, provided said information. So ISP telling us in the latest confirmations that it was making as public record, that they started investigating Thrasher in February. They got reports of illegal activity at this store, this business called Asian Massage in the Hometown Plaza in Sellersburg. Investigators say they actually uncovered more than $16,000 of unpaid state and county taxes. At last check, Thrasher is being held in the Clark County Jail on a $10,000 full cash bond. Looking at the clock right now, it is 8:16. Checking in with all the different comments, seeing Bertha on Facebook letting know no sound. Hopefully that is not the case any longer. Just making sure the buttons are all good for you. Let's take you outside. Very quick look of our SkyCheck network and from, of course, the other side of the river in Jeffersonville and overlooking at the skyline, the clouds hanging up overhead. Much calmer end to this night as opposed to yesterday when we were tracking the storms and the lightning coming through the eastern part of Jefferson County and how that put sort of a dent in the State Fair Fund. So enjoying the view right there. We're going to take a quick commercial break and be right back with much more of today's big stories right here on Wave Extra. So I hope you stick around. We will be back as I set up this slate here. All right, we'll be right back after this quick break. Welcome back, everyone, to Wave Extra tonight in the Wave Now studio. That's what I was hoping to get out there. Appreciate you joining us. I'm Jose Society, holding things down here at the desk as we wrap up our Wednesday evening. And thankfully, as I was showing you those images, if you joined us a little earlier, of just a quieter, cloudy, but a pretty and quiet end to our day, looking across the Louisville downtown skyline, quieter compared to last night for sure, and thankfully nothing worse to the worst case scenario. But there's something pretty scary I wanted to show you because last night's storms, you might have seen pictures of the widespread damage. In particular, we saw quite a bit of it spread out across Lips Lane, if you're familiar with that, in the Okolona neighborhood. The lightning knocking trees onto homes. Some folks had to clean up the mess and the debris that was left behind. And what I want to show you is a really quick image here. And this is to your right. It's a young mom living in Okolona. She says her house was actually struck by lightning. And if you see she has the sling on, it's because now she's dealing with not just muscle damage, but nerve damage to parts of her body. That's her talking to our Fernando Garcia Francescini, and she wanted to share her story with us this afternoon, hoping that at least others, if they're maybe in the same situation as she was last night, that they can at least remember what to think of and how to try to prevent what happened.
Tuesday night's storm did quite a number on the Okolona neighborhood. In this particular home, it tore this fence down. But the most impressive of the damage is not visible to the eye. Shelby Miller lives on Lips Lane in Okolona. We spoke to her outside of her home, the place where she thought she would be safe when storms hit Tuesday night.
Next thing you know, my microwave's going off, I'm pulling the door open, and I'm being electrocuted. I couldn't even let go of the microwave. My hand was stuck there until all electricity shut off.
Shelby says this was all the result of lightning striking her home. She tells me she rushed to the ER, and after 6 hours of scans, blood tests, and EKGs, she was told she has nerve and muscle damage to her left arm and is at risk of having a heart attack. Her hand shows the impact of that shock.
I'm nervous. You know, I wasn't expecting to have any nerve damage in my arm. I use my arms at work. I can't take care of my patients on one arm. So that really worries me. You know, how long am I going to be out of work? Is there going to be severe damage? Am I going to gain feeling back in my arm?
The young mother of 3 has a lot of expenses coming up, with most of her appliances damaged and a growing list of medical appointments. But she's hoping sharing what happened to her will lead others to think twice before touching their appliances during a thunderstorm.
You don't think that you can't use your home appliances during a storm. I was always told don't get in the shower during a thunderstorm. I didn't know that I couldn't prepare a meal for me and my family. It's scary. I know that from now on I'm going to unplug everything when I know a storm is coming.
While she is now focusing on recovering, Shelby says she is grateful to be alive today. Reporting in Okolona, Fernando Garcia Francescini, Wave News.
Yeah, certainly glad to see that it was not the worst case scenario for Shelby Miller. And our thanks to Fernando for having that conversation with her and just her being able to share her story in person with us. What we're showing you right now is a still picture, but it shows another bit of damage as well. This is in the city of Vine Grove, and this is their fire station destroyed because of an overnight fire. It's station number 2, if you're familiar with the area, on North Mill Street. Significant damage, to say the least. The department says it lost 3 of its vehicles, including the city's antique fire truck from 1941. Fire crews say, as far as people are concerned, no one was hurt. So again, that is some positive news that they were sharing. Mayor Pam Ogden also noting that the firefighters got some assistance, so did the city, and they're grateful that again, the firefighters who would have been inside were not hurt, that they are safe. What caused the fire, they're hoping to figure out. Not necessarily a hard timeline on when they'll discover that, but hopefully something that they can not only just figure out, but then fix the station and try to be made whole as soon as possible. And now I want to share this story. Maybe you caught it as we were presenting it last night on Wave News at 11. But again, we're talking about what would be medical emergencies and not running into and having to report the tragic outcome of it, which it could have been in this next case. It's a story of school staff in Parkview Middle School out in Jeffersonville being trained and ready to save a student's life after one of these officers, one of these mentors and adults, realized that the boy's heart had stopped. Officers, doctors, the young boy's own father, who talked to us last night, says without thinking and reacting that quickly. It's a rare medical occurrence, a rare medical emergency that could have ended in tragedy. So we wanted to share this with you all tonight.
See, I thought I was waking up for school or something, and I realized not at home. I'm in a hospital.
Confused and connected to IV drips, still, young Brendan Sullivan is alive.
You can't even say thank you enough, for someone to save your child.
Dad Steve Sullivan feared he'd lost Brendan by the time paramedics brought him to Norton Children's Hospital downtown last Wednesday. The cause of this potentially deadly condition was something Sullivan says he'd never heard of before, even as he knew Brendan suffers from asthma.
Bubble on the outside of your lung, it collapsed his lung and made him go into cardiac arrest. He dropped dead.
Norton's physician, Aaron Calhoun, says this condition, pneumothorax, is a rare but potential complication of asthma.
A situation like this, where you have someone whose heart stops, where the heart can't pump blood at all, is an emergency situation that has to be treated immediately if the best outcomes are to be obtained.
Jeffersonville police tell us, as school resource officer Buckner was checking the halls of Parkview Middle School, he saw Brendan collapse. In seconds, the Sullivans say, the SRO, a PE teacher, and several staff members worked together to give Brendan CPR.
No one walks down the hallway in school or anywhere else expecting somebody to have a cardiac arrest. And so you have to be ready to jump in at a moment's notice and do that CPR as best you can.
Within 3.5 minutes of Brendan's fall, more than a dozen JPD officers got to Parkview to give the staff more medical supplies. As Brendan recovers, he and Dad hope he gets back to school, to video games, and that others might pick up a life-saving skill like CPR.
I think everyone needs to learn the basics of it, how they professionally did that.
Glad to see Brendan is okay. I'm trying to think to the last time I would have received what would have been modern CPR training. And unfortunately, I remember they give you a card in health class for me in high school, but that was around freshman or sophomore year. So it's been some time since even tapping back into those skills. But you see just how valuable they are in situations like this. Brendan, again, appreciate the time that he gave to our crew to sit down and for his dad Steve to talk to us as well. He's going to undergo some physical therapy, slowly but surely recover. Steve, Dad, saying from here on out, he plans on advocating for any parents of kids who have asthma, so those who would be in a similar situation, to consider talking to doctors about what those greater risks might be, if that might incur some sort of extra testing, just something that he says he'll advocate for people to talk about with their respective physicians. And you heard Dr. Calhoun talking there that the case here is also a reminder, if you're someone who lives with asthma, to have medications close by that can try and prevent those emergencies as best as they can. Looking at the clock, it is 8:27. We do have more stories we want to share with you tonight here on the Wave Extra stream. So I hope you stick around after we reset with a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. All right, everyone, welcome back in to tonight's edition of Wave Extra here in the Wave Now studio. Appreciate you sticking around with us as we unwind and unpack the big stories of the day. We start, as we usually do, with kind of the more serious, big updates just involving cases with a lot of interest, very serious stories. We usually like to start off with that in case you were wondering what the latest information would be. And right now we're sort of expanding our horizon a little bit to look across the Commonwealth for, again, some stories of, unfortunately, some tragedy and some sort of true crime intrigue, one might describe them as. Because in this case, a woman was found dead, 4 people behind bars. This was after a deadly home invasion in Marion County. We've learned the victim's name. It's 48-year-old Stephanie Keeling. She was apparently killed in this attack early Tuesday morning. This is a report we have from one of our partners and our reporter, Phil Pendleton, talking to police to learn a little bit more about what exactly happened.
4 people, 2 men and 2 women, are all charged with a deadly crime that happened in the community of Gravel Switch, a few miles east of here. Marion County deputies were the first to arrive around 3 Tuesday morning after they received reports of unknown people who had forced their way into a home. A woman was found dead inside that home on Hurricane Lane. The state police say they were able to identify the 4 people and they were arrested Wednesday morning. Police say Tyler Gunn shot and killed the woman inside, but that he, Joshua Spalding Wells, Faith Singer, and Allison Livers were all involved in the robbery. The crime happened in a rural area marked by grazing cattle and rows of corn and other crops. People we spoke with say that it's normally a very quiet, crime-free area with a lot of good families. They say events like this are very rare. And according to police, video surveillance shows Livers running away from the home. They say that when they spoke with her, she admitted to her involvement. In Marion County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
And one more detail from that report from Phil Pendleton, as far as police are concerned, saying that Allison Livers apparently also admitted to officers they wanted access to a safe inside of that home. I was thrown off there trying to hear, maybe I was hearing some beeping. I'm not entirely sure what was going on in my earpiece, so forgive me as I'm analyzing where this noise might have come from. Okay. More stories to share with you tonight. Okay, I'm interested now where that noise is coming from. Okay. We'll see if I can play this next story for you. This is coming from here among the Wave News anchor team. So cybersecurity experts saying school districts in the day and age we're in are under daily attack from cyber criminals. As you can imagine, a lot of valuable information they'd want access to. But now the state's largest district, being JCPS, has a new defense system worth nearly $4 million. So Wave News anchor Brian Schlonsky sat down to talk to tech experts from JCPS to see how this money isn't going to protect not just students, but the teachers as well.
Everyday school districts across Kentucky and across the country are defending teachers and students against transnational criminal actors, right? Most of these organizations are based in Eastern Europe, and they are out of the reach of the U.S. government to actually stop.
Michael Klein works with the Institute for Security and Technology. They're a nonprofit helping to put the latest cybercrime fighting tech into the hands of organizations who need it so they can study and learn, then take that knowledge to Congress to see if policies need to change.
What we heard from educators was the same thing we heard from the FBI and we heard from the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. Schools are being hit hard.
The latest beneficiary of their help, JCPS, Kentucky's largest district, awarded nearly $4 million from the FCC as part of a pilot program to upgrade the district's cybersecurity defense.
We see an average of 5 cyber incidents occur each week, impacting K-12 schools across our country.
If it works well here, other districts could follow.
The FCC and Congress showed full confidence in JCPS.
Most of the improvements and tools we'll never see, but the district has a team dedicated to this work, trying to stop data breaches, ransomware attacks, and whatever new threats emerge.
The cybersecurity operation is more like an ICU. We monitor the vital signs of all systems, endpoints, and to understand what's happening.
Our thanks there to our Brian Schlonsky for checking in. Just to see where the technology and the investment is going in there. So when it comes to money to support all this, Brian learned it's going to be spread out to use over the next 3 years. The FCC awarded a total of $200 million to school districts across the country for similar pilot projects. However, JCPS was among the few to get the full amount of this support. And on to more stories I want to share with you. So here you see an investment in tech protection safety for the kids, the students, and the teachers within JCPS. Looking elsewhere around our community in downtown Louisville, now a project to try and make neighborhoods a little greener. More than a dozen organizations have signed what they're calling the Green Print Charter. They say it's their formal commitment to using nature to make downtown more vibrant and improve people's health as they live and work and play and whatever they do to enjoy themselves in the area. And so this is a report filed by our Wave News reporter, Marissa Burke, as she learned more about the commitment today.
13 organizations are coming together to address an ongoing problem in downtown Louisville.
So most of the time when you build the buildings, the greenness is an afterthought, and we want to change that.
Arnie Batnagar is a U of L professor with a special focus in environmental medicine. He's just one of many branches of Green Print. That's an initiative looking to make Louisville greener and healthier. The collaborative includes city government, nonprofits, and grassroots groups working together to improve air quality, reduce heat islands, and boost mental and physical health.
We would first learn how the pollution and noise is being spread in the city, where are the hotspots within downtown, where is the greatest need, so that we plant trees and shrubs in places where they are most needed and not certainly somewhere where it's most convenient.
Batnagar says adding more green space could decrease pollution by 5 to 10% over time. It could also increase the life expectancy in some areas. Green Print's projects will go beyond traditional parks to include microforests, pollinator-friendly landscaping, and tree canopy enhancements.
Trees, and they can increase pollen, increase allergies of people who are around trees, right? So you can be careful. Sometimes we selectively in downtown plant female trees so there's no pollen.
Batnagar believes the ability to add green spaces should be included in the planning process of a new project. LuMed, the Belvedere, and VOA's Care Campus are already on board.
So we need to be talking to each other. We need to be knowing what Belvedere is doing, or what Parks is doing, or what Waterfront is doing, so we don't duplicate and create a monoculture of trees or plant trees in the same way that if there's one disease, then all the trees in the city will die.
Because addressing the problem at its root is when real change can blossom. Marissa Burke, Wave News.
So certainly a variety of the different stories and projects about what's going on across our community. And we're going to round out with a couple, one fun fall-themed sort of story, as we are getting closer to fall, just not as close as some of you fans might think. But we're getting there for sure. So something to tease ahead. And the latest in our series of What's Good, of stories that can uplift and inspire here on Wave News. So I want you to stick around for that as we reset and we take one last commercial break right here on Wave Extra. Welcome back, everyone, to Wave Extra on this Wednesday, August 20th, 8:40 tonight. We're going to take one more look. I like taking a look from our SkyTrack network. If we could set up that shot. Still some sunlight. Oh, we've got some bug visitors. It's always like to, make a little run across the lens, but here's the view across the river from Jeffersonville, looking at the downtown skyline. Plenty of clouds to make out a nice pattern, but also talking about the temperatures feeling cooler than they were this time yesterday. Looking at that 78 degrees for you there. A reminder that the storm tracking team, Chief Meteorologist Kevin Harned, they're working hard to get that information for you. That's going to be part of what we'll share with you to plan for tomorrow and getting closer to the weekend on Wave News at 11. So I hope you join us tonight for that. Want to wrap up the evening with a bit of a tribute, let's say. This is a farm out in western Kentucky honoring a film feature that changed cinema forever. Some might argue it set the template for one genre in particular. So this is the view from up in the skies at Amazing Farms in Mayfield. They say this year's corn maze will honor Jaws. And here in that last shot I could make out all the pointy teeth that in real life you'd want to avoid, but the intricacy of the designs, really cool. The co-owner says the yearly maze design is based on whatever feels topical to the artists at the time. It just so happens this is the 50-year anniversary of Jaws being released in the big screen. And this is now the 18th year that Amazing Farms has done a specific theme for its corn maze. So certainly something very cool to check out. I believe that is a nod, a tip of the cap to director Steven Spielberg. One might argue this was the movie that set his career on an entirely different trajectory. And tonight, we're going to wrap up with the newest entry in our What's Good series, finding inspiring, uplifting people, the projects they're passionate about, the work they do to help others. In this case, it's a story about helping neighbors out of what could be an awful spot and sort of the last trial and tribulation that they might endure. And so this is thanks to Armira Ansari for putting all this together. It's a reminder, of course, and the data would show it's almost 21 million Americans have at least one kind of an addiction, and yet only 10% of this group ever get the kind of treatment that would help them break those patterns. So you may have heard this is part of what we hope to spotlight is coming out of that low in that valley to shine and excel. And so tonight, Myra is going to take us to a place in our community here in the Metro that is helping women in particular break away from their addictions.
And if you were to look out those windows 5 years ago, you would have seen me walking down the street, or running the streets up and down, up and down, up and down.
Life felt like a roller coaster for Erin Wyatt.
And I just lost all sight of reality.
When she looks at these pictures.
And I've probably been to jail 10 times.
If there was a drug, Erin did it. She started in high school.
I mean, I was doing cocaine in the stalls, in the bathroom stalls at school.
The drug abuse went on for years and got worse.
Well, I started doing ecstasy, acid, ketamine, so they call them designer drugs, nitrous, which is an inhalant, and I was doing so much of that, I would find myself blacked out, literally on a floor.
Erin says she also turned to opiates and faked medical symptoms to get prescription medication. And over that time, she also had 2 children.
Well, it was already downhill, but when I started doing meth or an IV, that's when psychosis set in, that's when the homelessness set in, that's when I really I quit thinking about my children and I let other people care for them, which was for the best.
Erin gave her youngest daughter up for adoption. Her oldest daughter was with Erin's grandparents. And it was a conversation they had with her while she was in jail that changed things.
Granny and Papa were like, we can't do this anymore. You need to be with your daughter and your daughter needs you. And that snapped me into, and I was sitting in the Floyd County Jail when she said that to me. And that snapped me into reality. Because nobody ever said, we need you like that, you know, like somebody's dependent on you. And I was a mom. I should have already had known that. I should have already had felt that. But I think from like trauma from my childhood, the way that I was raised and that things were for me, it was that motherly instinct wasn't really, and especially through the using, like that motherly instinct never really came.
When Erin got out of jail in 2018, part of her probation was to go to a recovery home. She turned to the breakaway in New Albany. Erin admits she went through the motions, didn't really soak in what she could take away from here. After 6 months, she graduated the program.
There is me.
But her sobriety didn't last long. Erin relapsed. She knew if she continued down the road she was on, she was going to die. So she went back to where she did feel love.
What happens when you go to places like this, even if it doesn't take, they call it like a seed gets planted.
Erin gave the breakaway a second chance. This time, she knew she needed to make it different.
Something in this house happens and it's truly magic. Like you feel loved and you're able to love back in turn. And that's why I died to come back here.
Erin was a lot like me. She's a lot like me. She reminds me of me.
This is Lisa Livingston. She's the founder of the breakaway, and she gets it. She had her own journey of addiction, got sober, and in 2017 created a place where women could break away from what was holding them back.
We do classes, which is the metrics program now. We did do recovery dynamics, which teaches us about drug addiction and what it does to our brain and how it affects us and our emotional barometer, and it teaches us all that stuff that we don't think about. And then, so we do that, and then we do Bible study. We also do AA meetings.
This was my first bunk up there, and I was also in here too.
The women also have a place to live, a clean bed, share meals together, and learn how to do things like dress appropriately, clean up after yourself. The simple things that many of us take for granted.
My self-confidence wasn't there.
And the big thing is that there is accountability while the women are here, and they get to see and finally feel their self-worth. Over the past 8 years, the breakaway has helped more than 130 women. Erin has been sober for 3.5 years now.
So being able to wake up happy, healthy.
Admissions coordinator.
She's still involved at the breakaway as a board member, helping other women. Erin has a relationship with her oldest daughter and a career that she loves at Schuler Bauer Real Estate. She shares her story to show you good things can come.
Do you feel proud of yourself? Yeah, I'm super proud of myself. Yeah, I'm really proud of myself. I feel like I fit in somewhere.
Our thanks to Erin and to Myra for sharing that story with us tonight. Myra learned that at the breakaway, they can help up to 14 women at a time living there. And because there is that need for this kind of support and resource, they say they're growing. They're hoping to transform a nearby home into another halfway house, again, offering the same kind of accountability and support. You can read much more about what they're up to. Myra does have the story up on wave3.com. And as I always set up these pages, they always take you to somewhere else other than the homepage to start. But here we go. That's just in my programming. But a reminder, you can find these stories and much more right here on the homepage, wave3.com. And you can scroll right down. Trying to see if perhaps we could catch where Myra's story was. But no worries there, because you can find it here in not just the Wave Now tab, but under news, all the latest stories happening here in our backyard, in our community, and of course spreading out to the big stories across the nation and across the world. A great resource if you haven't already also downloaded the Wave News app or the Wave Weather Now app to your smartphones to get those pushes. Always appreciate you all. As I say, we all kind of wind down this part of our evening here on Wave Extra. Hope to see you tonight for even more new updates and information on Wave News at 11. Mentioned the storm tracking team being ready, myself and our reporting team of Julie Richardson and Logan Perone working hard to share those stories that matter, of things that are happening in your community, and want to share those with you as well. Coming up on 8:50. Hope everyone has a good night. I'm Jose Sosadia for Wave Extra here in the Wave Now studio. We'll see you tomorrow night.